If I was president part 2, I made a part 1 to this video just yesterday. I was talking about the things I would do if I was president of the United States of America. I think this country is really fucked up. It's hypocritical, it's contradictory, it contradicts everything it said in the Constitution, and it makes no fucking sense. I plan on leaving this piece of shit and going to Canada ASAP. But yeah, so this is If I Was President part 2 on how I will create the perfect country and how I will fix the fucked up shit that the government has done to us. Part 2. Okay. The next thing I would do if I was president is everyone can get a job. Everyone can get at least a minimum wage job, at least a fast food job or somewhere that pays minimum wage. If you want to work, you can get a job. And the reason why I'm doing this is because it will cut out so much government spending on public aid and financial aid for people who don't really need it, and we can raise and put more money to those checks for people who actually can't work. You know, like people who are disabled and people who are elderly and sick, people like that. So we can stop throwing them in fucking rehabilitation centers that's not treating them right, and they can actually make enough money to still live a good life. It should be no reason why we're mistreating someone who actually can't work, and there should be no reason why someone who wants to work can't work while we're not allowing them to work. So if I was president, what I would do is I would make one basic application, because getting a job is way too fucking complicated, okay? They make it way too fucking complicated for you to work when you need money to live. Like, what the fuck? So what I would do is it would be one basic fucking application for every single minimum wage job. Every single minimum wage job, just one basic application, and it goes to each and every one of these jobs. Everyone who doesn't have a job and who is unemployed, say you just got out of school and you unemployed, or you're trying to get employed in school part-time, they have to hire you. Someone has to hire you. If you put out the application to all of these jobs and you are not hired within a span of 2 months, then the jobs will be placed under investigation. A job has to have an opening, and the job that has an opening has to take your resume into consideration, and you will be hired at that job. It should be no fucking reason why we're not allowing people who want to work, why we're not giving them the chance to work. That's the reason why people go on the streets and they sell drugs, or they try to rob somebody, or try to think of a way to make some fast money, because they figure it takes too long to get a job, or they can't get a fucking job because every time they fill out an application, they're never getting a call back. Trust me, I know how I feel to be sitting here filling out applications back to back to back to back to back, and no one fucking calls you back. Like, what the fuck? So I understand. That's why I will make it so it's one basic application that you send to every minimum wage job, and every job gets it. And I'm not forcing a job that's fully staffed to bring you in. What I'm saying is, if a job has an opening and you fit the qualifications, it's no reason why they should not hire you, period. Which means they have to hire you if it's an opening in a job and you fit the qualifications. And if they don't, then they will be placed under investigation, because I'm pretty sure it's a personal reason why they're not hiring you, and that is not allowed because it's business, not personal. And on top of that, along with the situation with getting people more jobs so we can raise the checks for disabled people and raise the checks for elderly people so they can live a good life, I will also raise the minimum wage rate. I think it's fucked up, because people that work these minimum wage jobs have the hardest jobs. They work harder, they work harder than a fucking CEO, you know, that's in a fucking big motherfucking office somewhere downtown, being a CEO, running a company or something that's making $100 million a year, and you got this motherfucker on minimum wage making $10 an hour, who probably worked 10 times harder than his motherfucking CEO. And all the CEO did, yeah, the CEO was smarter because he probably went to school, or he probably was already raised around money or anything, or he probably just had good ideas. I'm not taking anything away from the CEO or trying to put the CEO down, but what I'm saying is, is, it should be no reason why we're paying these people at these minimum wage jobs so little amount of money to do what they do. And I know minimum wage got raised in certain places, but it's still not good enough to me. So when I get elected into office, the motherfucking minimum wage rate is going up to $25 per hour, and that's for every minimum wage place. And you have to pay that to every person working at a minimum wage place, whether it's a restaurant, a clothing store, anything that pays minimum wage. The minimum is now going to be $25 per hour. I'm sick of this shit. It's plenty of money to go around if you cut the amount that you're spending on the fucking military. We're only home to 5% of the world's population, but we spend more on our war machine than the other 95%. What the fuck is wrong with us? Like, are you serious? You need that much fucking protection? Maybe, have you ever thought about this? Maybe America's just a big ass fucking bully. You know, like, have you ever thought about that? Maybe we're just big ass bullies who need to have the biggest military just to look like a threat. No one else sees the need to spend all these trillions of dollars to fund a fucking military, unlike America. We're the only one who does that shit, and it makes me sick. So I will cut this shit by 50 to 65%, and that will put a huge amount of revenue into the country to where we can do more stuff. And on top of that, with the fact that I'm going to legalize marijuana, with the tax revenues we'll receive off that, the tax revenues we'll receive off stopping the war on drugs and decriminalizing all drugs, not making all drugs accessible, but decriminalizing all drugs, and all of the money we will receive from stopping this war on drugs, because the shit is stupid. It makes no sense, and it's a war that we've been losing for too fucking long, and it's time to let it go. That's something else I would do if I was president, and there's so much more. From now on, if you're disabled, the money that we were giving the motherfuckers, like the baby mamas and all them motherfuckers who got 4 and 5 kids and who just don't want to work, who just think it's okay for them to sit around and get government assistance without working. No, motherfucker, that's why it's better for me to make this one application for every minimum wage job, raise minimum wage to $25 per hour, and everyone will be good, and it will be a better off country. We will be a better off country if we do something like that, because it cuts off everyone who has the ability to work but is not working and who's getting government funding. It cuts that from them, and we can raise the government funding for the people who actually can't work, people who have amputated limbs and stuff like that, people who actually, can't go work a job, or elderly people who are retired and need to get, their checks or whatever, and people who just don't have the ability to work. We can raise their checks so they can still live a good life. I don't feel that they should be suffering. Yeah, I understand that they're not working in society, but we should take care of all of our people, and if they don't have the ability to work, then there's nothing that they can do about it, and we should not be holding that against them or holding them accountable for that. We should make a way where they can still live nice lives. I'm not saying have them live a fancy, flashy life where they're in $1 million house and they're driving $100,000 cars or nothing like that. I'm just saying they should not be struggling or in the trenches if it's something that they can't help. Make the motherfuckers, make these fucking jobs start hiring, raise the minimum wage amount, and make the motherfuckers who can work, that's decided not to and just sitting on their ass, make their ass go to work. Cut them off. If you have the ability to work, you must get a job. You cannot receive government funding. The jobs must hire you, so it's no reason why you can't get a job. Then they can't call with the bullshit talking about, I can't get hired, because it's law that a job that has an opening, and if you fit the qualifications, you must be hired. That's what I would do, and that will raise so much more money for the country, and it would make things so much more better off. Cutting the military 50 to 65%, and we'll still have the largest fucking military in the world. It still won't even fucking be close, and that's how fucking stupid it is. If we cut our military by half, it'll still be larger than every other military in the world. Like, what the fuck? Like, what's the necessary need for that? So that's what I would do if I was elected president, and this is part 2 to that video. I made a part 1 already. So yeah, D-Trail for president, logic.